So remember when I said that Glimmer feeling left out and seriously wanting to get involved, yet being held back because of her duties as queen was building towards something? Well, here's where this something begins rearing its head.
If I know Entrapped that this thing is gonna be big, unpredictable, and...
After we watch the rebellions get ambushed while trying to take out a new Horde bot.
How do they keep doing this? No matter where I send you, Horde always shows up to ruin the mission.
Glimmer has a lot more responsibilities being queen, and as a result cannot be in the field to help out her friends anymore. It's a far cry from how she used to do things, and we can see that it's eating her up as problems mount with her friends being in the line of fire that Glimmer ordered them into.
And I'm just sitting here.
It's okay, Glimmer.
You can tell it by her tone and expression she hates what's happening and being unable to fix it directly, as was her usual go-get-em strategy for the past 3 seasons.
I backtracked down the path the transport was on. It came from the mountains, on the far side of Bright Moon.
Nevertheless, there is a bot to take care of, and their past experiences with facing new Horde bots has more than told them that they need to take care of that problem as soon as possible. So that's why there's this urgency about, we gotta go take that thing out.
Sorry, Your Majesty.
Oh, and Flutterina was just outside, and this is what I mean when I said revealing Double Trouble's disguise changes any interactions with her.
Are you guys going on a mission? Can I come?
We knew they were outside that tent listening in and hearing about their plan to track down the bot, and is obviously fishing for more intel with that question. With everyone else none the wiser, it adds its own little layer of tension as you wonder just what they're gonna learn, what they're gonna spill back, and what Catra's gonna do with that information. What I don't like, however, is DT physically heading out late at night to the cave where Catra and the new bots are. Either Double Trouble has some sort of vehicle we never see, or this cave is actually closer to the Rebellion's encampment than anyone thinks. Like, what if someone notices Flutterina is gone and asks when they get back where they were for hours? Because we see later that DT has a communicator that can reach Catra, so why leave camp and come here? They're just delivering a report, like in the next scene they're talking. Tipping Catra off to what the princesses are doing and to lay another trap.
She-ra is not going to find anything, but they'll all see the weapon when the time comes.
But what part of this scene required D2 to leave and go there instead of just use the communicator they have? Anyway, the team heads out to locate the new bots, and Glimmer has understandable concern for their safety, but otherwise puts faith in her friend's abilities. Remember that for later. Then Glimmer goes on this power display like this is suddenly Dragon Ball Z. Not that I'm complaining, this whole sequence is awesome to watch, and once more I find myself wondering why more people haven't realized how ridiculously overpowered Glimmer is, as she teleports and runs up a 90-degree incline and slices thick soil in half with magic.
Impressive!
Huh?
Well, except for Shadow Weaver, who seems to realize it just fine.
One must keep oneself occupied.
Okay, Weaver even puts on that tone she always has when she's manipulating people.
Your power is truly a sight to behold, you being Micah's daughter.
Glimmer was, like last season, talking about how manipulative and conniving Shadow Weaver is to Adora, so I'm glad they have Glimmer be wary around this woman, is not just instantly trusting with everything she says. Shadow Weaver does have to do a little bit more to earn Glimmer's trust, to have her ear.
Never seen a sorcerer like him.
I get it. He'll never be as good as either of them.
Although that is just the perfect opening for her to exploit. Glimmer's putting herself down by comparing her own skills to people she loves and admires, and Shadow Weaver just interjects with,
That's true. You'll be better.
and this isn't just Shadow Weaver trying to claim that Glimmer's somehow going to be superior and rise above them to boost her confidence.
Remember your raw, magical energy when we invaded the Fright Zone.
As we've seen with Micah and Adora, Shadow Weaver definitely has a thing for finding powerful people and nurturing that for her own ulterior reasons. And when the woman sees her attempts to incite anything in Glimmer, she throws out some half-assed response.
Yes, but I did help you become more powerful.
And then turns away as if she was never interested in Glimmer's presence.
Luckily, I don't need your help for that anymore.
Changing tactics like what she did when she reunited with Adora, all in the name of trying to achieve something with Glimmer. We'll get to what that is in a second.
No, I suppose not. Of course, it's all wasted if you don't use it.
I swear, you need subtitles on to understand everything Shadow Weaver's doing. She is undeterred by this claim and acting as if this is some casual conversation she didn't try to initiate.
You're trying to be like your mother.
And I'm pretty sure all of this is leading into Shadow Weaver understanding how Glimmer doesn't like staying behind and hand out orders from the rear instead of doing field work.
You must decide for yourself what kind of queen you will be.
And then Shadow Weaver tries to use this information to both steer Glimmer on a course and make it look like she's just there to give advice. Because while she says you have to decide for yourself, she also just said before that Glimmer was better than both her parents and was going to rise above them in some way, implying that Glimmer should be doing things differently because she's not like them. That Glimmer is unique in some way and should embrace that. Shadow Weaver has learned enough about Glimmer to figure out this gung-ho princess, while matured, still desires more than a queen sitting on a throne, but to what end is this woman using this information for? What's her end goal with this conversation? I think it's just the same thing with Micah and Adora. Hey, those last two attempts failed. Well, here's another one. Let's go. We'll shift back to that in a second, because I want to mention how this show is getting me to care about these two rando side characters.
Just for the record, I'm being way quieter than
Guys,
They basically just show up this episode and only now get any amount of characterization,
you. Darling, your arm. Uh-huh, nice try.
but it and their banter seems to flow so naturally.
Spinnerella refuses to accept that I busted 2 more bots than she did, so I'm winning. There is nothing to...
In spite of the fact that they've basically just been a background decoration you have to really search around to find.
Ha! 2 for 1. Still winning!
Yet I am still able to get to know more about their personalities without feeling as if the writers are sacrificing screen time for these two we've barely seen. I just thought it's worth pointing out because they could have easily screwed this up, but they didn't, and it ended up turning out pretty well in my opinion. Then they get ambushed and have to fight a few of the old bots before meeting the new one.
what kind of chuck wagon?
Yeah, recall what I told you that Glimmer was leaving them be because she likely had faith that they would just be fine, and then Bo just gets blown up and needs to be healed by Adora.
I can't keep sending my friends into ambushes. How does the Horde know our every move?
Going into danger before was always fine with her because she was always right there with her friends, but ordering them into hostile situations is another thing entirely because she's not there to have their backs.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I hate to suggest it, but could they be tracking She-ra?
That could explain how they always know where you are.
And here we get a new reason to be concerned about Double Trouble's presence, as they manage to sow a reasonable explanation for both the Horde's recent successes and the sow frustration for Adora onto herself for what has happened.
I'm sorry. It's my fault you got hurt.
No.
DT has barely been there for long and is already showing how dangerous a shape-shifting infiltrator like them can be.
I sent you out, knowing it was dangerous while I stayed here, safe and sound.
Breaking apart their morale with just a suggestion that doesn't even have any concrete evidence because they just look like a trusted figure.
There it is. The thrill of seeding destruction and chaos.
Which is great in the writer's part. They're taking DT's presence and considering what they can do and applying it in a way that makes sense. Adora, hero complex still firmly within her, declared she's gonna head back out there, danger be damned. She needs to be the hero who takes this new threat out before more people gets hurt, especially after what happened with Bo. And now Glimmer wants to do the same.
Don't worry, Bo. I'm gonna take care of this.
And rushes over to Shadow Weaver. Okay, look, I get it. Weaver does want to help to fight the Horde. She was screwed over by them, but I do think Glimmer needs to keep in mind she's only doing so because of a personal vendetta against them and not out of any actual desire to help the rebellion.
The Queen demands your help.
I see.
It's how Glimmer seems to just throw away the fact that Shadow Weaver is a manipulator and does have her own goals that has cause for concern for me, because she pops right in here and makes herself look desperate for her help, which is like burying your skin into a snake in a basket.
You don't need to think like Catra. I told you, you're more powerful than you know.
Shadow Weaver tried being calm and speaking carefully and now changes tactics, standing tall and making it clear to Glimmer she has her full attention. She speaks more firmly than before when repeating that "Glimmer, you are powerful" thing, as if she's trying to drill something important into her head before asking,
Are you willing to use your power?
it really looks as if Shadow Weaver is trying to talk down to her, like an annoyed teacher asking if their student is ready to start taking things seriously. There was a desperation on display in how Glimmer came in here to ask Shadow Weaver for help, and the woman herself is more than willing to take advantage of that.
How, hypothetically, would I do that?
Magic, of course.
And Glimmer instantly buckling and losing any composure she once had only reinforces this is working for Weaver, as she takes Glim over to make a location spell.
All it takes is a few ingredients and the will to see it through.
Will to see it through, geesh. And with some encouragement or prodding, as I'll call it, Weaver is able to get Glimmer to do the spell and find Catra. You know, right after Shadow Weaver takes Glimmer's hand and helps her draw the correct glyph. I have little doubt Shadow Weaver could have just done this herself, but intentionally made Glimmer do it because the woman wants to redefine what she is to Glimmer, from a prisoner to a form of teacher. And without even asking to be a teacher or even floating the idea to Glimmer, Glimmer chooses for herself to become the woman's pupil. And afterwards, Glimmer realizes Adora is looking in the wrong place and has this dilemma. Tell Adora and risk tipping off Catra, as they believe the Horde can track She-ra, or leave Adora to be ambushed and maintain the element of surprise.
Are you suggesting I use Adora as bait?
Weaver doesn't do much to persuade her either way, making it clear it's her choice as the Queen.
What will you do, Your Majesty?
And it goes without saying that as Queen, isn't it her job to make hard decisions? So while Adora, Spinnerella, and Atasa get harassed by the Drilly Boys, Glimmer goes by herself to deal with Kitty Cat.
What are you doing that? Oh, it's you.
And oh wow, another sequence that reinforces just how overpowered Glimmer is, as she teleports all over the place. It even fires what is essentially a laser beam, detonating several containers of flammable substances, and destroys Catra's new whip in the same manner Shadow Weaver did the last time Catra tried grabbing Glimmer with one. Then, after Catra has been incapacitated, teleports a larger version of the pulse bot high into the air to prevent it from doing damage to the woods. In fact, it was that event and Double Trouble putting 2 and 2 together.
Word around Bright Moon was that the Queen had disappeared on a mission. I thought I'd come check on you.
Which is both a point in the theory that DT has some sort of transport we don't see, and is the only reason why Catra was able to walk out of that situation alive. And then Glimmer runs off and takes out all the bots, pinning down the gang. And although one does get a shot off on Spinnerella, she's thankfully okay.
14. What? That was 14 bots for me. I win.
Like seriously, just raise her power level a little bit more and Glimmer could totally be a Dragon Ball Z character. And you know Adora isn't exactly happy she was used as bait without her knowledge or consent, or that Glimmer suggests that it should be done as a regular thing later.
At least we can use it to our advantage.
Do people in this universe not know what tact means? Because there's a sheer lack of it from pretty much everyone in that show.
But it was the only chance I had to take out the rest of the bots before Catra could unleash them.
Glimmer declares that she won't be behind anymore and she wants to be the queen that goes out there and takes the fight to the Horde with her friends, taking what Shadow Weaver says to heart in this scene, even saying,
And now that Shadow Weaver's teaching me magic, I'll be twice as effective. What?
And of course, Bo and Adora are apoplectic about this last part, and Glimmer does not take the time to assure them or even justify what she's doing here. Not now, and not even when she let Weaver out of the spare room to wander around the palace. At least this time she thinks to tell her friends what's happening with Shadow Weaver, though it seems less like she decided to do so because Glimmer thought they should know, more spur-of-the-moment vocalization. Like, wow, there is a lack of communication from Glimmer to the people she cares about. I wonder if that's ever caused problems for her in the past.
We won today, and no one else got hurt. That's what counts.
That is not a good mindset to have, as I'm sure everyone knows. The ends justify the means mindset is a slippery slope. And the fact that Glimmer brushes off any of their concerns by saying,
I'm gonna go raid the kitchen in celebration. Glimmer, I'll bring back some cake.
As if that's gonna mull things over and everything's gonna be fine then. It's a little taste of what's to come later in this season, as a lack of proper communication and some other things I'll talk about later drives a wedge between the BFS, with help of course, as Catra is able to ascertain with Double Trouble's help that Glimmer's actions today won't go over well with Bo and Adora.
Looks like the friendship might have a few cracks. Would be a shame if someone were there to take advantage of them.
So that was episode 4 for season 4 of Overanalyzing She-ra. If you like this video and want to see more, then hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button, then bell to get notifications about the next episode. I try to update this series every Thursday, so please share this with other fans, and also check out my channel for my video essays, music analysis, and complex character series. You might find them enjoyable as well.